Welcome back. It is the Flow Friday Sports Show here on Flow FM, and it's time to commence a brand new segment on the program. It's called Being Barossa United, and I've got with me one of the most recognisable faces of the club, and of course our senior content producer here in the building, Rikki Lambert. Rikki, good to be with you. Very excited to get this underway. Why don't we start off by finding out a bit more about Barossa United, just particularly for those listening from outside of South Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Barossa United got started in 1989. Some local people wanted to create that opportunity for kids, boys and girls, to be able to play soccer, as they called it then, football, as you and I call it, at the local level, because Barossa is situated a bit unlike a lot of our broadcast areas, just close to a capital city. And so there was always the drain of decent players going into the Adelaide metropolitan area to play their soccer. They were the remnants of what was Greenock Town. There was a town playing at Greenock, just on the edge of the Barossa, and so they ended up becoming Barossa United in 1989, and they've gone from strength to strength, and thanks in no small part to the local council and federal government funding, there we do have a new synthetic pitch, which has got a lot of people buzzing. That we've played our first games on it last weekend, and we're going to have new club rooms built there as well. So incredible new facilities being built for a lot of clubs in the Barossa area, but it is a club going from strength to strength, and I'm quite involved in the women and girls program, and we're having a very great amount of growth in the women's game.
There we go. Well, let's take a look at some results, and we'll highlight some of the storylines behind the various junior teams that we have at the club. So firstly, we'll go back a week or so and talk about the under-12s JSL side. So this is a development team, Rikki. They got a huge win against Campbelltown City, who, for those who are uninitiated with South Australian football/soccer, are a historic club, so you'd be proud of this result.
Certainly was, and look, that's as high as we get to play is the Development League. We're not in the JPL, which is sort of the elite level. We're building, and some of the kids in this squad are a perfect example. Young Elliot Kurtz got a 4 goals in this match in a 5-1 win, and Tyson White. I've got the privilege of sometimes coaching a couple of these boys because I'm in the next division up, and they play up some of these boys in a positive way as well. So a great result for Michael Shield and Michael Allen, the two Michaels coaching that side. That was a cup win that takes them through to the next round.
There we go. Well, an absolute thumping win in somewhat of a local derby with where the under-12s JSL mixed team was concerned. They beat the Gawler Eagles. Not an overly huge road trip for the Gawler side, Rikki, but they got thumped here. Barossa with a huge win.
Yeah, look, we love these local derbies because we are somewhat competitors for players in some respects with Gawler, and they've got their own redevelopment story going on as well. But again, Elliot Kurtz with, what do you call 6 goals? Is that a double hat-trick?
I think so.
He had a cracker of a game. Robert Tucker had the first game of the match. Riley Throop and Tyson White also got amongst the goals. I think Tyson himself got a hat-trick. So, yeah, a great win. A bit of bragging rights locally there.
I'm just interested. I recall doing some JSL coaching myself. They used to basically not consider a result if it was more than an 8-goal discrepancy. Have they done away with that again now?
I don't know what they're doing. Well, this is all fairly new to us. We've only been in Football SA for a couple of years. We used to play in the Elizabeth Districts League, so this is the elite level now, even though we're at the sort of development end of the draw. But nonetheless, whatever's the score is the score. That goes in the book, and didn't we know it against Para Hills Knights in our other under-12s team?
Absolutely. A bit of a humbling result, this one. Para Hills, though, for the northern-based clubs in Adelaide and South Australia more broadly, always been a heavy hitter, Rikki. So no shame in this result, but it'll be a way in which the youngsters can come back and hopefully learn a few things.
Yeah, well, we were going 1-1 up until 12 minutes with Artie Noshka's goal to level the scoreline. Eddie Barnes got one later in the game. And sometimes you do often see with these teams, the opposition there, Elijah Schultz kicked 4 goals, as you know, a game I coached in. Sometimes it's one kid getting a lot of the goals, one real bolter of a player who's dominating the game.
Well, let's talk about the under-14s. They got a big win against the Blue Eagles. No real sort of thrillers on here, Rikki, but Blue Eagles, another historic Adelaide-based club, coming in, getting a bit of a trouncing. Yeah,
it was a bit dicey where the Blue Eagles would actually turn up. As you can see from the numbers, they only had the flat 11. We had 3 on the bench, and there's some real talent in this team. Oscar Gill is a real cracker of a player. He got 2 goals, as did Gussie Roy. He got one of those, was a penalty in his brace. Joshua, and that's actually Charlie Butler, not Joshua Butler. bit of an error from the ref. And Oscar Crowell, a great player who's playing up above his age level as well. So a fantastic win against the Blue Eagles.
Let's talk about the girls' side of things. The under-13 girls absolutely pumping South Adelaide. Gee, this must have been a road trip and a half, Ricky.
Well, it was a road trip and a half for South Adelaide. We do go further. We do go down to Port Elliot on occasion. But what is amazing about this result is this is a team of girls. I see a lot of names in this score sheet. Lucy Amos with a double brace, Grace Zorich, Phoebe Koch, Miranda Joseph, Amity Seidel. These are girls, a lot of them didn't score a goal all year. They got thumped last year. They've had a couple of developmental years, and for them to put 8 past South Adelaide is a fantastic achievement by Paul Amos and his young girls. They've had a great start to their season.
Wow, the Amos name looks like it's making the rounds there at the club, and gee whiz, that's the North-South derby there. Looks like it's going to really throw some fireworks up. Let's move along and talk about the under-15s JSL team, Ricky, and a 6-1 loss to Fulham. Bit of a disappointing result for the JSL, this one.
Well, look, this is a side that has struggled. The squad has been pretty fluid. It's great to see Paul Herman get on the score sheet. I have coached Paul in the past. A great, determined little bunch. The visitors only the home team only had 11 players, but they struggled, the boys there, and I think they got a lot to learn from that result. But thankfully, the next round of matches comes around pretty quickly.
All right, Ricky, we'll take a look at the fixtures happening this Sunday across the junior sides at Barossa United. One of those will see a internal game happening, so tell us about this one.
Well, look, we don't get many of these in the fixture anymore. It used to happen more in the Elizabeth districts, but the two coaches groups have gone with in the under-12s. So they've sort of split them evenly with the talent, and so they'll go head-to-head in the same division in that match, which will be exciting to see. Who I think I'd be tipping, I don't know which colours which, but the one with young Elliot Kurtz I think will come out on top in that match.
Well, there's plenty of action happening across the Hoffman Oval pitches. Another one will see the Barossa United under-13 girls playing Port Adelaide, so Port Adelaide visiting. And the Port Adelaide Pirates, they do produce some very good youth players, Ricky. So this will be a good exposure lesson for the girls because a lot of young talent does come out of the Port Adelaide Pirates setup.
The 13 girls have had a pretty busy schedule, not only with that cup victory, but they also had another match on the Wednesday night before that. So they could be a bit leg-weary, but hopefully they've got a little bit of leather poisoning from kicking goals. But I think that will be tough for them against the Pirates.
Another North-South derby, this one, the Barossa United under-15s JSL mixed side. They'll be entertaining Sturt, who will travel across Adelaide to come and play this fixture. How do you see it going?
Look, I think this will be a better fixture for the 15s. They had that poor result against Fulham on the weekends just gone, so I think I'd be tipping them to go well in that one.
We know that at a senior level, West Torrens Bacalla have very big ambitions. Talk that they may still be submitting for the National Second Division at a senior level, so we'll see how that all goes. But at a junior level, you can get a bit of a mixed bag with Burke's, Ricky. So the Barossa United under-14s JSL will travel to play them in Adelaide. This will be a big game for them.
Yeah, it sure will. And look, like I say, they're a very talented side. But Bacalla, the ones I've come up against, they get the best pick of local talent. A club like that one with that sort of aspiration, and I think they might find it very tough to get a win there on the artificial turf down there.
Yeah, it'll be a good experience nonetheless. There'll be a Barossa United side. The under-15 girls purple will travel to play Campbelltown. Campbelltown, they do have a fair amount of good young girls there, and that's particularly the senior side. So how do you see this one going?
Well, I think 2 years ago we had a very spicy encounter with Campbelltown City. This is a side I coach, the Barossa United girls. That's our home match in a double header where we'll also talk about the women's match in a minute. We'll be confident. It was a close game. I think it was a 2-2 draw last time we played them, but obviously they might have had ins and outs in both squads, so that'll be a hard hit out for my girls.
And as you say there, the Barossa United senior women's side will host Para Hills East. Tell us about Para Hills East. Not sure about them.
Oh, look, they are a club that you got a good view of the what do you call it, the airport, Parafield Airport, from up on the elevated pitch there, but they're travelling to visit us. Look, this is a tough encounter for the women, and we'll talk about the men just to finish off in a moment, but we've got a delayed vintage in the Barossa, and that does have an impact on numbers because players are committed to working, they haven't been able to train. So the women's training numbers have been a bit scratchy. So I can actually foreshadow some of my girls. I've got 2 players who played up and actually one of them, my daughter scored last year as a 14-year-old or 13-year-old playing for the women. So I think they'll be borrowing a few of our players to get the numbers up against East, and that'll be a pretty rough and tumble encounter, but I think we'll come out the winner based on previous form.
Plenty of reason to have faith.
Absolutely. The men, we don't know yet exactly where their fixture sits. I've been trying to get a message from one of our club representatives, but they're still in the amateur league, and amateur is put the underline under amateur. They're still figuring out their draw. The men, I don't think, will start till after April.
That is Rikki Lambert with our inaugural Being Barossa United segment here on the Flow Friday Sports Show. And on the other side of this break, we'll hear from Dom Leach. It's the Flow Friday Sports Show. Stay tuned.